Well, if you haven't guessed by the music, we host a wrestling show. Oh, this is the War Report brought to you by TagMeADate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of pro wrestling. And yes, we had SummerSlam, we had Monday Night Raw, and we have all kinds of
NXT
things.
Takeover.
NXT Takeover.
Do not forget about NXT
No,
Takeover.
I know. I feel like that's amongst all the stuff that happened the last 3 or 4 days. Takeover is going to get overlooked because it's not the main event show, but it was the show of the weekend for sure.
That was the show of the weekend.
We have had 9 hours of wrestling and another couple hours to go tonight to finish off the SummerSlam Brooklyn tour. We have so much to talk about. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shield coming back together on Raw, for me, bittersweet. We'll obviously get to Raw, but we really, we should just go right into NXT TakeOver, because to me, NXT TakeOver stole the weekend. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy SummerSlam. I'll give you my thoughts on SummerSlam, but for NXT TakeOver, as usual, was a grand slam from start to finish.
I don't know how you beat that show. I don't know what WWE could have done to beat their own programming that weekend. It was so well done.
Oh, I could tell you.
I mean, I'm sure we've got a lot of opinion. We've got opinions. What I'm saying is, I really don't. What do you do to compete with that?
Well, it's very simple. In my opinion, it's a simple thing. And it sucks because you're not going to get to utilize everybody on the fucking roster.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reason why SummerSlam is not as good as NXT, in my opinion, is because SummerSlam, even though it is 6 hours, it is too much pushed into it with shorter matches, shorter time for them to develop things and get them going.
Absolutely.
There were 3 squash matches during SummerSlam, which is ridiculous. And there's more time for the matches in NXT and for the matches to really get into them and just go nuts, because they don't have as much content that they have to cover. So they have 20, 25, 30-minute matches that are just home runs start to finish, and that can be duplicated at SummerSlam, but you can't when you have so much that you're I mean, how many matches were there, including the pre-show? And 13 matches, and 3 of them had to be squashes. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That should not be.
They didn't have to be. They chose to make them squashes.
Right, but fucking Christ. But they did it, in my opinion, they did it because of time constraint.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? Because you had something like... Show. Well, right. And I get it, but holy shit, 6 hours, and you still have to rush things. I mean, if you have one squash match, okay, I'm good with that. But holy shit! I mean, I enjoyed SummerSlam. Don't get me wrong, I really did. There were things I didn't enjoy. There were things that I did enjoy, and we'll really dig into it. But before I really get off the wall here, NXT TakeOver, guys. The opening match set the stage for a phenomenal pay-per-view as usual.
Yeah, I was watching that first match. I'm like, okay, so they put out like a 5-star match right out the box. How are we going to top this?
And they did.
Every match just built and built and built, and I couldn't even tell you.
Right. Everything was right.
I couldn't tell you what the weakest match was.
It was perfect too. For that card.
Yeah,
I mean, dude,
everything was perfect.
Do you know how hard I popped? And this is the first match. Not only was the match itself a great match all the way through, but then I didn't expect it, and all of a sudden, Warbeard and Rowe made their TakeOver debut and beat the shit out of them. I mean, it was just... You know, and for me, for you, you know, we're a little bit, you know, for me, I've worked shows with these guys. I know these guys a little bit, and I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say I'm friends with Warbeard or anything, but I mean,
but it's nice to see, man. It's nice.
And I mean, we have communicated even on Facebook Messenger and shit. Like, I have somewhat of a relationship with the guy, so to see him now at NXT Takeover Brooklyn, I mean, dude, so right off the bat, I was raring to go for the rest of the pay-per-view. And I said the same thing. I said, oh, my God, how are they going to keep the energy up? And they did. And you know what else helps? That fucking crowd every time is just amazing. And it helps.
Look at that.
It's an advantage.
Tomorrow helped.
Mamma Mia!
I'm sorry, guys. I just can't get behind Morrow. He drives me absolutely crazy.
His passion is great, though.
I like his enthusiasm.
Amanda, I've been saying it for a long time, and I don't know what it is exactly, but he drives me crazy. Some of the things, okay, I get, but some of the, I don't know. He just does not do it for me. I'm a Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon. I'm a even Vince McMahon at commentary. Jesse Ventura.
Oh, I know.
Morrow is just. Morrow is I don't know, man.
I made that graphic during Takeover because he just, he hits the Mamma Mia button instead of the nut button. Yeah. And that's his deal.
I gotta be honest too. The Mamma Mia thing drives me more crazy than anything else. And I just don't know why. I just can't get behind the guy. He's a nice guy.
Did I miss do any of those pop culture references? Was he like, he's wearing the red shoes like Cardi B, or like what was he saying? Like what is he? I don't know what he did this weekend. I don't remember if he said anything particularly embarrassing.
I tried to tune him out.
That's what I do with Michael Cole.
Amanda, you and I usually agree with everything wrestling, but this one we are going to disagree.
Yeah, seriously.
I like Morrow. I mean, I don't know if I would be able to watch like Monday Night Raw. Then again, not to jump around, Michael Cole.
Yeah.
As Eric put it, makes his head hurt.
Michael Cole,
you give me headaches.
Michael Cole needs to go, and Renee needs to fill the spot.
And Coach can go too.
And I got to be honest with you, I think this is exactly what it was. This was a trial. Let's see how she does. Let's see how the reaction is.
Absolutely.
And there was nothing negative on social media from anybody. So it's a matter of time. She's proven she can fill that spot. And she's going to be the first female full-time on Monday Night Raw broadcasting. And it's going to be amazing.
For sure.
100%. But I got to say, out of all the matches, and again, they were all fantastic matches in NXT, but in my opinion, if I had to choose, for me, the match of the night had to have been Ricochet, Adam Cole.
Oh my God.
Baby. I mean, Ricochet is just so goddamn amazing, and Adam Cole is great. I hope in the new game, when Adam Cole comes out, the crowd does the whole Adam Cole, baby, because it's awesome, but the crowd was great. That match was, those two just put on a hell of a show. For me,
it would be such a tragedy if it didn't.
Right?
The new, and I don't know what they're doing for this new 2K19.
I hear Adam Cole will be in the game as well as Ricochet as downloadable content.
Well, I hope the crowd.
That spot where he came back with the freaking moonsault and then he got super kicked in the face.
Super kick.
Holy
oh
shit.
My God.
Oh my God.
He is unbelievable. The things he can do. And did you guys see that picture floating around of him like 16? Yeah, the one with the long hair, and then
he looked awful with that hair.
And then and then he took a new one with Triple H, and now he's the champ. And good for him, man. Dude, it's a matter of time before Ricochet gets called up. He's not going to last on NXT very long, I don't think. Adam Cole, I think, is about to get called up. I think that's a matter of time. I just hope they call them all up together, although he got the tag title. So.
Yeah, there's got to be a I think that they'll do the War Games with the Undisputed Era in against somebody, and then they'll bring them up to the main roster.
What if they do something with War Machine? They need one more person, but
they did a backstage thing and Pete Dunne got involved, so there might be.
My guess is it's going to be British Strong Style versus Undisputed Era versus Ricochet and War Raiders.
Damn.
Dude, that mustache fucking whatever they call themselves.
Mustache Mountain, yeah.
They are so unbelievable together in that ring. What a tag team. I mean,
Tyler Bate is ridiculous.
The strength on that guy.
Unbelievable.
Quads. My God.
Yeah, he's got these gigantic quads and thighs he's like 4 feet tall and just has
he's only
tree
20
trunk
years
things.
old, 21 years old. It's ridiculous.
It's
and just swims in it. You know, when he goes to the club, he just swims in it.
Oh, yeah.
Just walks in. Sup?
We have to clarify something. Velveteen Dream. Okay.
Yes.
Loved the tights.
Now, I read something that's it. It has nothing to do with Vince McMahon. It just happened to be a friend of his named Vince.
Yeah, but dude, any wrestling fan is not going to look at it that way. That's
right.
Exactly. That was the whole point. That was the whole point, to get people talking. But in my opinion, the last thing the Velveteen Dream needs is to be called up, because they're going to fucking ruin it.
I agree. Oh my God, could you imagine? He would be prediction. His first match would be against No Way Jose.
Yeah.
He would actually dance out to the ring with No Way Jose and then wrestle him.
And then lose.
And
I
then
will say this though. He has come such a long way. He put on a hell of a match as well. That match was fantastic.
I didn't expect him to win either, because he's kind of been that guy that the new guys come in and beat. He's like the gatekeeper. So maybe now he's no longer the gatekeeper. He's the guy, one of the guys.
The Keymaster, I guess.
Yeah. Now that would be even funnier if he acknowledged it kind of like that. He's like, I was the gatekeeper, now I'm the Keymaster. He just figured it out, man. I don't know what it is that clicked one day when he's like, Patrick Clark isn't cutting it, even though Patrick Clark is a hell of an athlete and a good-looking guy and loves pro wrestling. He's like, Patrick Clark isn't going to cut it for the WWE. So let's watch Chappelle's show and watch Prince play basketball, shirts versus blouses, and let's figure this thing out. So he took
Game.
He should say that should be the name of his finishing move, because he should put the blouse on before the elbow drop. Like, pull it out of somewhere and put it on, do the elbow drop, and while they're game blouses, I'd be okay with that.
Dude just turned 23 years old. So
you mentioned two guys.
Seasoning.
Tyler Bate is 20. Patrick Clark's 23. Leo Rush is like 14 or 15 years old. So
Pete Dunne's like 23 also.
Yeah, Pete Dunne's.
So young.
I feel bad because Trent Seven is only like 25 or 26, and he looks like somebody's dad.
Yeah,
he looks like Tyler's. He's Tyler Bates' dad, I think, within the context of the show. It's great. Those guys are great. I have really no complaints about the show. I guess maybe you'd say all the women's match was the weakest one of the bunch, but it wasn't even. It wasn't like you can't. I couldn't take those 5 matches and go, this is the best, this is the worst.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the one matches, and we'll get into this with SummerSlam. It wasn't just that each individual match was a good match. It was that there was a flow to the show that SummerSlam didn't have.
Yeah.
You had 5 matches over 2.5, 3 hours, and there was ups and downs.
That was the best card placement I've ever seen.
And I like, I almost called him Tyler Black, but it's not Tyler Black. It's Aleister Black. Tyler Black was Seth Rollins. But Aleister Black, I really enjoy. I think there could be a place for him feuding with, like, I'd love to see him against McIntyre. It's about the same size, and they square. I think even as much as I like him, Johnny and Tommaso could wrestle each other for an hour at every takeover, and nobody would care. It's that good. So I mean, he was missed in a certain respect, but in another respect, I feel like that allowed them to continue to tell this story.
Yeah,
and he still has a spot somewhere.
They did something brilliant in that they took something that was a tragedy where he was injured, but they made it into a storyline where someone attacked him. It was a whodunit. It's
every
awesome.
match from this feud for the last 2.5 years, whatever it is, has built upon the prior match. Whether they're sitting cross-legged somewhere, or one guy's sitting in the foreground, and another guy's standing in the background, or they wave goodbye to each other, or they use the crutch, or they use the knee brace, or they take the padding off the floor, or they take the padding off the ring. Everything, the handcuffs, everything was an allusion to a past match. It was very almost cinematic. It was almost like a book where this is the final chapter, the second to last chapter, and all those things that you saw throughout the book, you get reminded of them as you get into the finale. It was so well done, and the ending was perfect because Johnny got all wrapped up in it. He undid himself. He could have ended it a bunch of, and again, it's like a same pattern with the last one. He almost had it won, and he snapped, and they had to pull him back, and then he snapped again. And it was his own undoing. He knocked the whole thing. That finish was great because you had Tommaso chained to that thing. He hits the knee and then crashes. Johnny crashes into the production stuff, and he's down. Technically, Tommaso's out, but he slides off the thing and stands up, and he gets caught. He's being held up by the handcuff that Johnny put on him. The whole thing was just so well thought out that I really have to compliment these guys. And I worked with Tommaso before. I've never worked with Johnny Gargano before. Tommaso flipped a switch somewhere and just didn't look back. It's crazy. Like they're 5'2" and 180 pounds, and they're the best wrestlers in the whole company.
And another thing I want to praise about Takeover is that the matches, not just that match, but all of them had fantastic storytelling. Like, for instance, the tag title match, they did the towel thing that they did in their second match when Undisputed Era regained the titles. Look at Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler now compared to Shayna when she was lost to Kyrie in the Mae Young Classic last year. Totally different person.
Absolutely, and
even Kyrie too.
Everybody's got an evolution.
I know Amanda liked that when Kyrie won. I didn't expect that to happen this soon.
No, I figured.
I thought Evolution was going to be the time. That's my.
I thought that chokeout was going to be it, but they did kind of a variation on the Bret Roddy, Stone Cold, Savio Vega finish or whatever it is. Like, or
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't off the turnbuckle when Bret did it and when Stone Cold did it. It was off the turnbuckle, climb up, kick, flip over. This was a variation on that I thought was pretty cool. I didn't think it was going to be a pinfall, so it was great. You know, it was a nice, shocking twist and title change, and it didn't make. And to compare to the main event of SummerSlam, didn't make anybody look like a huge asshole. Like, Brock Lesnar apparently can only lose when he's been snuck up on. Like he's a Boo from the Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So Roman Reigns and Goldberg are the only two people that figured out you got to sneak up behind the fucking guy and tap him on the shoulder and then hit him. Like it just made him look like an asshole. And then he eats one spear while holding a chair. We won't get into it. We'll get into it a little later. But what I'm saying is compare the finish of that match where Brock Lesnar ended up the number one contender to the UFC heavyweight championship, and one of your current world champions was made to look like such an asshole in the main event of that match that he doesn't even show up the next night on Raw. And Kurt Angle says that he's not going to have his title match until, guess what? The rematch is going to happen at WrestleMania. So the whole thing made him look like an asshole, and he won't even come on and wrestle the next night, and then he won't get his rematch. Kyrie surprises Shayna Baszler by using one of Shayna's technical moves against her and turning it into a pinning combination. It's great. It doesn't make Shayna look bad. It sets up a rematch. Even if Shayna moves on right now, she can always come back to it months down the line and say, you beat me, but you didn't beat me.
Or if
whatever
Kyrie comes up to the main roster eventually.
There's conflict there. And hopefully they don't save the footage for 4 years like they did with Bailey and Sasha just to do dick with it. Like what do we do? We show Bailey and even Ronda's like Bailey and Sasha. They put on this great match in Brooklyn. Blah, 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 blah. The fuck? They're not even on the goddamn show.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it's no good. And I apologize because I was so loud I got through somebody's speaker and looped my voice into the broadcast twice. And
You're just that passionate. Your passion fell through everybody's speaker.
I'm really feeling a lot of that passion as we get into the monstrosity that was SummerSlam, which again was not a bad. Let's put it this way, it's not a bad show. It was way too fucking long.
I called it SummerSlam, not horrible.
It's like WrestleMania over again. I enjoyed WrestleMania a lot. I was there live. It was a lot of fun. It was too many matches and it was too long. And even for the people that were there, it was too many matches and it was too long. And it got to them again. If they ended that pay-per-view after AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, said, good night, everybody. We're going to do all this other stuff on Monday and Tuesday. And they go, okay, well, we paid $10 and you gave us 4 hours of wrestling. That seems fair. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Exactly.
You got 3. I looked at the clock after AJ and Joe went, and I go, there's 3 more hours left of this show.
I did that last night.
And they still had to rush 3 matches.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
it's just
I understand
mind-blowing.
the Ronda Alexa
that
match.
needed to be a
Well,
squad.
all right, you want to get into it?
Let's jump
let's talk,
'cause
let's talk
Takeover-
about that match.
Once again,
We can
Takeover
skip
is the best
pre-show,
show.
Really.
What?
We can skip the kickoff matches, I think.
Yeah, whatever. Let's talk Ronda fucking Rousey, right?
Yes.
I'm okay that she's the champ. I still think it was too soon. I'm okay she's the champ. Alexa Bliss was made to look like a jobber. To squash Alexa after all this time, I mean, Alexa got nothing off it offensively. Nothing. She got one punch that did nothing to Ronda, and Ronda went apeshit.
Yeah.
Ronda also, to be fair, did not do a lot. I mean, she didn't do much. I don't know. I thought that match could have been a lot better.
That was actually one of my favorite segments of the whole show.
And I did not enjoy her promo on Raw at all, and we'll get to that later. But
Oh, God, no.
Well, I could have done without Stephanie.
The Stephanie McMahon, and I know that it was all designed to put heat on Stephanie because, of course, she's going to butt her fucking self into that pay-per-view as much as she possibly can. But, and I know it was for heat, but that was. We'll get into Raw later. But yeah, the Alexa Ronda match for what it was. It was a fun. Eric's right. It was a fun segment. I enjoyed it because I want to see Ronda go out there and beat people up like she used to do 4 years ago. Like that was the whole mystique. Was you watched and you knew that the fight wasn't going to go into the second round or the third round because you just went out there and beat the shit out of people. Now, Alexa usually, because she's small and because she's not as strong as everybody else, she finds ways to get under the person's skin emotionally or psychologically.
a lot of psychological work, right?
And I guess the story is she just couldn't crack that egg with Ronda, and she, you know, all of her little tricks or whatever just didn't work. But yeah, it should have been a little more competitive.
I mean, let's be honest here. You've been around the business enough to be able to answer this in a logical way. Do you honestly think that match was booked properly? Because in my opinion, that was horribly booked, and
it should have been more
put that match together should be spoken to.
There's a delicate balance of they want Ronda to be a threat, and they want her to be powerful.
Rock, but not
Right. So they don't want her to sell as much. And I agree. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying this is the path they're taking with her.
Yeah.
I think they could. They didn't. The whole problem was they didn't want her to sell as much. You know, they didn't want to give Alexa much, and they didn't want Ronda to sell.
Yeah, but how does this help Alexa in any way?
It doesn't. It doesn't. It definitely knocks her down a couple pegs.
I think Alexa, to her credit, is a good enough heel where she can bounce back from this.
And she's going to be facing Trish, and that's going to be the easiest way to get.
She's going to get over on Trish. Trish is going to pass the torch over to her.
Oh,
yeah, and so if we look at it that way, she had to get knocked down to be built back up, because you didn't. If you had Alexa in the title match with Trish, you're throwing too many things in there at once.
Yeah.
You know what I think my
spread
problem
that out.
is? You know what I think my problem is? I think, to me, this is SummerSlam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I
It's
feel
the second
like
WrestleMania. Yeah.
Correct. And I think there should have been more to it. To me, that's something I would expect to see on Monday Night Raw.
It should have, if you, for the match that you're expecting for SummerSlam, should have been Ronda against a heavy hitter. Should have been against a Sasha or a Asuka or a Becky or a Charlotte or somebody that can work.
What the fuck happened to Nikki with this whole thing?
Haven't seen her.
They replaced her with Alicia, and then
yeah, I don't. They had a plan. Here's the thing: there's a lot of stuff that happened over the last couple of days that seemed like we want to get here. We're going to get here, sacrificing everything else what we've got. We're just gonna get here.
Clean slate to get to that point.
Because it's like Roman Reigns has to have the belt and he's got to get cheered. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna bring Braun Strowman out 2 nights in a row during his main event segment, so people cheer Braun, but it looks like they're cheering Roman. And then we're gonna bring in the Shield, and they're cheering Rollins and Ambrose. They're still not cheering Roman. They're cheering the Shield, and they're cheering these 2 other guys. But it looks like he's getting this rub from everybody else in the fucking WWE universe. And it's the same thing with Ronda. It's like we wanted to get to Ronda having the title. Instead of telling like a really subtle story and building to it and having her work her way up from the bottom because she's not a wrestler and just started wrestling 7 months ago, and she works her way up from wrestling Alicia Fox's to slowly moving her way up the card to the Nias and then getting her to it didn't happen that way. And they just had a night. They're like, we want to get here and we have 3 months to do it, so this is what we're going to do. And
that's what they did.
And Steve, I don't disagree with you. I think if there was better things they could have done with Ronda and Alexa to make the match more competitive. If you're going to have Alicia out there, was she out? I don't even remember if she was out there.
She wasn't.
He wasn't. Only Natty was out there.
But so that's if there's some kind of distraction, Alicia tries to interfere. Natty pulls her off the apron, but Ronda's still distracted by the scuffle. Alexa gets in a cheap shot, gets some heat above. It's wrestling. It's really not that hard. They're overthinking it, they're really overthinking it with the finish of Sunday night and Monday night. They're overthinking it to a level that you don't have to do. They're really they're doing mental gymnastics to try and find how this shit logically makes sense. And none of it to me really makes a whole lot of sense. I'm happy Ronda's the champion. I don't know where you go though. It is now. It's August.
You don't think it's too soon?
But that's what I'm saying. It's August. We have Evolution. We have SummerSlam. Not even counting like minor things. We have Evolution, the first WWE All Women's pay-per-view. We have Survivor Series, which is one of the big 4. We have the Royal Rumble, and we've got WrestleMania, all coming up in like the next 6 to 8 months. You can't have Ronda wrestling Alicia Fox every 3 weeks, until your next pay-per-view. I don't know where they're going to go with all of this, because there's no more chase and there's no more intrigue. She is the champion now she has to defend, but who's she going to defend it against? Everybody else is they've already made a perception that everyone else is so below her. Who's going to unseat her with it looking realistic and not look like when Carmella beats Charlotte and everybody rolls their eyes so hard their optical nerve snaps off? Like when Carmella beats Charlotte Flair,
Or
just saying it out loud is like your tongue itches. There's just no reason for it to happen. So, and people are like, "Oh, Carmella did a good." We'll move to other matches, so we don't just talk about Ronda and Alexa. But we'll go to the other women's match. Oh, Carmella did a good job. She held her own. It's like, no, there were two ring generals in the match. She could have sat there and put her thumb in her butt and sat on the middle turnbuckle, and it still would have been a good match.
Yeah, she could have been a broomstick and fine.
Look, I like Carmella and all, but I'm glad the Carmella experiment is over for now.
This Carmella experiment.
Now we've got Stone Cold Becky Lynch, who they are, and this is again the mental gymnastics you have to go through to make a Flair the babyface. At all, and
no, see, that's the thing. If their intention was to make Becky heel, then they failed because
absolutely
he got cheered even louder.
But Monday night, during at the same time as Raw, there was a SmackDown house show. Becky ran through the crowd and attacked Charlotte, and they're selling it like she's a heel. Guess what? Even on that non-televised show, the fans still cheered for Becky over Charlotte. They're going to have a real tough time. They're going to have a real tough time selling.
It's almost akin to what happened with Becky, with Bayley and Sasha a few weeks ago or months ago when Bayley went all crazy.
You know why this is going to backfire? Because of the way that the story was constructed. It made the people feel for Becky. Like, fuck, here we go again. Charlotte got in, and you know, Becky, now her chances
Becky
went down,
earned
and
a title
Becky
shot.
got screwed.
Becky earned a title shot for SummerSlam, and then Charlotte came back and stole her thunder, and then came back and literally in the match stole the match from Becky.
You know
all
what it
the
is
things
too?
that Charlotte did was heel.
Right, and you know what it is too? I think upper management doesn't really get how over Becky Lynch is with the universe.
Yeah, they're underestimating it, I think.
She's got an accent, pal. It'll never work.
So stupid.
So Becky earns her title shot. Not that Charlotte didn't, but Becky earned her title shot. Charlotte weaseled her way into a title match. She literally stole the match from Becky when Becky had it won. Becky snaps and attacks her, and they're saying that Becky's in the wrong and Charlotte is the good guy here. It's so fucking tone deaf. It's like, and we're going to skip back to Raw because it's that happened, and everybody's going to talk about it. Roman Reigns knew earlier in the night. Braun Strowman said, "Good luck in your match. I'm going to come out and I'm going to cash in after the match, whoever wins." It's going to happen. He said this 2 nights in a row. You know it's going to happen. He's going to come out and cash in on you. And then he calls in the Shield. The facial from Reigns, the way he carried himself, the cockiness, it's all heel stuff. He had to call in 2 of his boys to back him up. That never during a Money in the Bank cash in, that never happens. Who comes and backs somebody up during a Money in the Bank? So the whole thing is a heel thing.
And they're going to try to attempt to put Braun as the heel in this.
And
situation.
again, they sacrificed 2 big baby faces, Rollins and Ambrose, who are the fucking roof blew off the arena every single time Ambrose came out the last week and a half. From going back to last Monday.
Who hasn't said a word, by the way, yet?
And yet, they're going to take these 2 guys who are getting such good reactions and put them with Roman that kills anything they're doing with Dolph, anything they're doing with McIntyre, anything that's happening with the Intercontinental Championship, anything that's happening with Ambrose's return. All of that just got thrown out the window for putting them with Roman to elevate him. It's the same tone-deaf decision that they made Charlotte the champ. Like, if you're going to have Charlotte win that match, it has to be sold like Charlotte stole the match from Becky. She's a Flair. That's what they do. Like, how do we know? There's 40 years of wrestling history to go back and look at Flair's doing this exact kind of thing. And yet she's the babyface because we all love her 80-something-year-old dad.
Listen, you got to remember.
And I love her 80-something-year-old dad, but she's not a babyface.
At the end of the day, it comes down to one thing. It's got to be fair to Flair.
Woo! So I bought that game. I skipped last year's WWE game because I bought it in 16, I bought it in 17, and there was so little change. It was like when I bought Madden 2 years in a row. I felt like a huge asshole. It was just not enough change. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to skip a year. And
You're going to be very happy this year.
I skipped the right. You know why I skipped the right year? Because I had a friend who bought the game and I played it. The load times were just way too much to bear. The matches, everything was very similar. There were updates. There was a backstage career mode where you had this like weird.
The career mode got old very quickly, though.
But it was interesting
very repetitive
because there was a guy in there who was playing like a WWE employee, like he was the agent for your matches and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he'd get you to do things that you do on wrestling TV, but they have like a backstage explanation for why. He's like, hey, the ratings for this segment were bad. Why don't you go out there and interfere? Or like, oh, you want to get back at him? You should challenge him to a match. Like rather than just going, hey, Triple H and Vince sat down and wrote this script 2 hours ago. Here's your script. Like they found ways to integrate reasons behind having a wrestling match, which is interesting to me. But the big thing this year is the super duper deluxe edition that you pay $120 something for, which I will gladly plunk down because you get a Ric Flair Funko Pop that you cannot get anywhere else. You have to buy the game. And it looks fantastic because it's 1980s Rick with the big gold belt and the aviator sunglasses, and he's got the big collar shirt with the sport coat. It's fantastic. It looks like he just came off the set of NWA's World Championship Wrestling, cutting a promo in front of that little bleacher full of people. That's awesome. They have pieces of Ric Flair's robe that they've cut up and put on trading cards, so you get a piece of the robe. There's a WWE Hall of Fame ring replica in the box. And you unlock Ronda, and you unlock Ray, and you get some WWE Super Card stuff if you play the iPhone app Super Card, which is fun. I haven't played it in a while. But they gave me enough stuff where if the game stinks, I still got all my Ric Flair merch. So I'm okay with all the Ric Flair merch.
I know they also started capturing voices, too, so a lot of the interviews and promos and shit now are going to be voice.
That'd
be cool.
Bugged me.
Yeah, that you have to read it all and shit.
The promo game, I liked that idea where you picked the right response to try and get the audience with you, and the promo made sense. They gave you like 3 or 4 line choices where it was like segment 1 of the line, segment 2 of the line, and you had to have them all kind of make sense. You couldn't have one sentence that didn't match the prior sentence, and like gauge the crowd reaction. That's interesting to me. But the funny thing is, while you're doing it, because there's no voice acting, the animation is just sitting in the background going,
right.
You know, I just thought of a great addition to the game. Like, let's say you lose your match, and then they do like a backstage segment with your wrestler, and then Ron Simmons comes up and goes, "Damn!"
that you know what? I would be okay with that. I think he would be a great addition. What if he was the voice? Okay, we're gonna go weird here because they always do like a regular career mode, like, "Hi, my name's Jason Alberts. Welcome to NXT. You're down in Orlando. Let's get training." And then they do the whole thing, and it's like, "Oh, shoot me in the face." How about this? A guy is getting ready for his first NXT tryout, and on the way to the ring, he trips and hits his head. And when he comes to, Ron Simmons is standing over him. "Damn, you hit your head hard." And then Ron Simmons is your guide through career mode. But at the end of career mode, when you win at WrestleMania and you win the title and all that, they shake you and you come to, and you were knocked out still at the NXT show. It was all like a concussion. Like they couldn't say concussion because apparently you can only have pictures of the anatomy of the brain behind Daniel Bryan. You can't actually say concussion. You can just kind of allude to it with art. But you couldn't. But you know, it would be a thing where you had career mode, but it was all a dream. And Ron Simmons was your guide.
Your guardian angel.
He could float down.
He was your Sherpa, if you will.
Yes. And at the end of it, when they pan out, you know the trainers wake him up. It's like it was all a dream, and they close up on the guy going, "Oh, it was all a dream." But then they cut to the outside of the building, and they fade away from the NXT building, and in the clouds is Ron Simmons, like at the end of Happy Gilmore. When it was the guy in the alligator. Yeah. See, that you do something like that. Give us something. It's a video game. It's not real.
So that actually brings me to a thing that's somewhat relevant that they should not put in the game. And I'm talking about those stupid fucking graphics that they put, like that big dog. Are you serious?
Could you imagine? Oh, all right. There was a point where Roman Reigns in his entrance looked up at the big dog that wasn't there. He came out and looked up.
That was the fucking dumbest thing shit I've ever seen.
I didn't mind like the New Day stuff, like
Balor's little blood cloud portal to hell thing.
Balor's cloud was fucking awesome. Badass,
Yeah.
I thought.
You know what
like
I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the AJ one. I guess
like
it
phenomenal.
like zoomed in, like the phenomenal thing zoomed in on him.
The big dog, come on.
The big dog was
fucking
so
corny
that was
as
like
shit.
it was PlayStation 1 graphics too. That was the worst part.
Being generous.
Yeah, I know. It was like
That's
early
short
iPhone
PS1
3D.
graphics.
Yeah. Oh my god. But anyway, let's get back into SummerSlam. What was the
I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, let's talk match of the night. I got to give it to AJ Samoa, including the conclusion. And I know there's a lot of mixed reactions to that finish, but
because I love Samoa Joe and I want him to win the title and culminate.
he was my pick. I
whatever.
wanted Samoa to take it too.
But if you're gonna lose, that's he didn't look like a punk. He didn't look like a chump. He didn't hold a chair and let somebody spear him while you're holding a chair. There was nothing dumb about that. It all made sense within the story. Yeah. When Samoa Joe got up and said, "I'll be your daddy now," it's like, oh my god.
Oh shit, it's about to get real.
He went there, you don't. That's just not something you say to someone. You don't say that in your real life.
And that's why the finish worked, because
they snapped, and now we're gonna get.
And there's enough heat where they can go to Hell in a Cell.
And you know what? I can watch those two all day because it brought me back to TNA. I mean, even towards the end and how they were like right before the way it ended, but how it may have finished with all the reversals and the submissions, and it was well done. It was my favorite match of the night.
Can you imagine if they were able to get Christopher Daniels to be the special referee?
Christopher Daniels is currently he's playing he's in the Waterworld stunt show at Universal Studios. He's playing Dennis Hopper's part. You remember he had the eye patch and he was like the captain of the bad guys. Yeah. So that's his part in the stunt show. He's also wrestling Stephen Amell in 2 weeks at All In.
Right.
So it's gonna be they did on the Being the Elite YouTube channel. There's a training montage where it's him, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky, SoCal Uncensored, and they do like 10 minutes of Rocky 3. I think it's Rocky 3. It's the one where, I think it is right. It's where Creed helps Rocky train, and then they run along the beach and they hug in the water, and it's kind of homoerotic. They did that, and then they did the ending to the ding ding thing where they get in the ring afterwards and they're circling each other. Yeah. I didn't hear no bell, ding ding, and as they go to lock up, it hits. It freeze frames on like a portrait. The whole thing was well done. Christopher Daniels being involved in that would have been a nice little nod. I know there'd be really no way to get him work him in.
Samoa Joe gets abducted in a van again.
Oh yeah, Samoa Joe just gets into a van and it turns out that Christopher Daniels was driving the van.
Because we never got resolution.
Never. There was never any explanation. Anyway, that was the match of the night, I think, for SummerSlam. The emotion behind the match, like it built on a lot of things from their past, but it also incorporated this new Wendy Styles. Apparently, we're just not going to mention that AJ Styles has a real last name. She's just Wendy Styles. And Annie Styles. When she was holding Annie, I just pictured that scene from Glow where Liberty Bell pretended the girl in the crowd was her daughter.
That too.
But it worked. Somebody was watching that episode on Netflix and like, hey, let's do it. And I kind of wanted to see little Annie Styles break into like The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. When you're stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, like that could have been the moment where the little girl starts singing songs from Annie. Just tie it all in. But no, that was the match of the night.
Second best, I'd have to go with the opener of the Intercontinental Championship match.
That was a really good match too.
But why did Seth look like Thanos?
The guys just they pick their gear and
he got the gauntlet boot.
Okay, but why one shoe yellow and one black?
Oh, because Thanos wears the Infinity Gauntlet only on one hand.
Oh.
So instead of wearing the like a gold arm thing, because he hits that stupid knee thing, he wore it on his leg.
Well, not to worry, because we're back in black now, as we've seen on Raw. Which we'll get to.
But the opening match was great. AJ Joe was great.
Daniel Bryan Miz was fantastic.
I like that
was a
match
nice
too.
finish.
Why was the crowd dead for that? I'm pissed off at the crowd for that.
Because the show was 6 hours long.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
It's 6 hours long, and it was a very technical match as opposed to like big spots.
I thought the end was brilliant with Maurice slipping in the brass nuts or whatever he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if they're going to tell the
So
story,
why did Brie not get involved in that? But then she goes to celebrate with Ronda later. What the fuck?
There were a lot of people asking that question on social media too.
why wasn't Brie there watching her husband wrestle his first match back at WrestleMania? Like, even if they just sat her out in the crowd in one of those one of the seats that they keep empty, and then they move her back.
I thought we were going to get like a Maurice Brie scuffle or something.
Oh, we have to now. It's going to be Miz and Mrs. against Total Bellas.
Before we get to the main event, as far as I'm talking about Roman Reigns both nights, real quick, and Braun, I just want to get to now. You know how we heard rumors about like Evolution's going to be Ronda versus Nikki? Well, now I hope to God they're not doing Ronda versus fucking Stephanie, because that would make me lose my goddamn mind.
No, they're not gonna do that.
If anything, I'd like Ronda to say, you know what? If anyone deserves a title shot, it's Natalya. And then they do a face versus face kind of thing, and maybe it could lead to heel match later on.
Yeah.
But I think for the time being, that would be the best. I understand star power and Nikki Bella, but come on, or Stephanie.
They have to leverage star power with wrestling ability.
Yeah.
If they had, and
Ronda
I'm really trying
alone
to
is enough star power, so you don't need Nikki Bella or even Stephanie.
No, I agree. You don't need I mean, please, I don't want to see either of them wrestle. I think I'm trying to think of who would be
Iconics or something like that. Do that.
That would actually be really, really good if they did a lot of past versus present things. I know the Bellas are still technically current, but they're veterans. So put them against the Iconics. Alexa against Trish is a great idea. I mean, Ronda against Lita. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things like that would be better than.
And you
Ronda
mentioned Asuka, but as I said, I think that's a big money match that you wait on.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. But I just feel like she has to wrestle. How about Bailey? And you can still do the face versus face thing too.
Or Sasha.
Right, Sasha would be fine. Anybody, Natalia's a good pick because she can wrestle.
Or Mickey would be good too.
Yeah.
Maybe Nia again. Well, I don't know about Nia again.
Nia, she ended up having a good match with Nia, but I want to see Ronda.
But I want different opponents, though.
Right, I want to see Ronda work somebody she can they can sink their teeth into it and really have like a 20-minute long match.
Even
see
Ember
if she can do it.
Good
that would be good. There's a lot of good opponents. Stephanie McMahon or any of the Bellas are not.
Yeah.
I would rather see Total Bellas, as in the B team, wrestle Ronda Rousey and see what happens. I liked that segment, by the way. Total Fellas, but with a B. Total Bellas.
They are hilarious.
They are so funny.
I do appreciate it. I wouldn't mind seeing a Ronda heel.
But I would not spend $30 on that shirt, though.
No, you could just get you can go buy a Hanes and a Sharpie.
Exactly, you can make it.
Yeah, I think Ronda. Here's
like
the thing.
$1.
Yeah, you could go to the dollar store. You get a shirt and a marker. You're good. The Ronda doesn't, much like Brock Lesnar. Ronda doesn't need to be face or heel, and doesn't even need to stay face or heel, because Ronda is Ronda, and whoever you put up against them, you're gonna feel the emotion for that person, because Ronda is a superstar.
Drop the whole happy I'm here and just turn into the badass that's.
Well, she made a beeline to the ring real quickly, briskly at SummerSlam.
I
with the rest of the eyeshadow that
the Black Swan look.
Oh my god, that is awful.
I feel like whoever does the makeup in WWE goes on Instagram and watches how-to videos and then just tries to replicate.
Because they did that with Becky too, with the eyeshadow.
But Becky's like the steampunk. So
Becky's is more a steampunk, but it's still like the smoky eye thing. I don't know. They're not. I understand what they're doing. Somebody said that they're doing it for the crowd because it's like the difference between TV makeup and theater makeup. Theater makeup has to be more elaborate so that people in the back row can see it. Guess what? You've got 4K screens up now. You've got those giant monitors. If somebody wants to see Ronda's makeup that close up, they can. There's no reason to make anything that over the top. And maybe it's her choice. You know, I'm sure it's her choice what to do for the makeup, but we need to tone it down.
Speaking of reasons why they do things, there's a reason why Braun Strowman was out there during the SummerSlam main event, because they didn't want the fans to shit on.
All right, so should we get into this?
Yeah.
There were a lot of good matches. Right? Let's give our props to Rollins and Dolph for putting together a hell of a match with a scary spot with the reverse suplex thing where they fell out of the ring.
Cool.
Miz and Daniel Bryan had a good match. The women's three-way was good, even though it was a squash. The Ronda Alexa thing was a fun segment. I won't say it's a good match, but it was an effective segment.
As we said, Joe versus AJ was great.
Yeah, AJ Joe was the match of the night. Demon Balor, we'll talk about him before we get in the main event. Demon Balor came out of nowhere. It's too bad.
It would look great.
It's too bad he ran out of face paint for Monday. He didn't have enough paint to paint himself up for Monday. Maybe he would have won.
Maybe.
You know, why would you? In what? Finn just
dude, it's a lot of hours.
Yeah, but think about it. Finn goes, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to use my special magic powers to wrestle Baron Corbin." And he's like, "But I'm not going to use my special magic powers to wrestle Roman Reigns, who's like 100 times better than Baron Corbin."
Yeah, I hope the guy that painted up Balor got paid handsomely for that, because what a waste.
I think they probably just hire women artists.
Don't get me wrong, we all love the Demon, but it was such a waste for that.
They pay the women in getting to touch Finn. Like, they're like, "Here, you can body paint this guy. There's no money. You just get to touch his abs." And they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, you just run your finger like that across his abs.
Right?
You know?
Yeah. It plays a song. You know,
it's like an xylophone.
Serious. I mean, the guy's ripped. But yeah, it was a waste of. I enjoyed seeing it. I was wrong on my pick, saying no. I guessed no. A couple people guessed yes. It was a waste of getting the Demon and the portal to hell, cloud, blood dripping graphics, whatever. They had all this stuff, and then he's wrestling fucking Baron Corbin. And then he beats him in like 30 seconds, and who cares? And then he left. He's like, "Hey, I got all this makeup on for you. I'm going to be out here 2 minutes. Hope you took your pictures."
I'm Finn Balor. I'll be here for the rest of the week.
I'll be backstage playing with me Legos.
I also do bar mitzvahs.
Yeah, seriously, that would be great. If they just hired out the Demon can't get work because this is the first time he's wrestled in 2 years, and he's just like doing various, like he's fixing toilets like Dusty Rhodes used to do. "Oh, I heard your toilet's clogged. Let me take a look at that.
I'm just a working man.
I'm a son of a potato farmer." But yeah, all right. So we talked about all that. There was a waste. That was a waste. What were some other things that we didn't talk about? Who cares about? Like I care about. Yep. Okay. Jeff Hardy, Shinsuke. Jeff Hardy did an interview and said that his back was hurt and he doesn't do the swanton as much anymore, and then does a swanton onto the apron.
Yeah.
With nobody there,
with no padding, nothing to break your fall. Even recently, obviously it's been like a year and a half, 2 years since I worked with Matt and Jeff. Every match that I saw Jeff wrestle, and Matt too, but especially Jeff, he used to take a trash bag full of ice and plastic wrap a giant bag of ice to his back. And this was 4 years ago, continuing on to recently. So his back's been fucked up for years. This is not helping. This is just not helping. But I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate that he's pulling out these big moves now, rather than doing them on every house show and everything that he's doing. He's picking his spots for these big moments. But maybe don't cripple yourself. Let's consider that.
But the weird part, what the hell fuck was with Randy Orton coming out and then leaving?
You'd think on a 6-hour show.
What was that about?
We've talked about how long this show was and how rushed some of these segments were. Why wouldn't he kick somebody, RKO somebody?
Yeah.
Instead of just standing there, like maybe put his hand into into his trunks and then shake his hand. Keep the continuity with what's happening in real life. Something.
Offer him a handshake.
Yeah. And he, like Jeff, Jeff doesn't like smell his finger, but he can like smell it from far enough away where he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Bring out a purse, put it near Jeff Hardy.
Shit in Jeff Hardy's bag, duffel bag, and bring it out with him. There's he could have done something. Instead, he just stood out there like, hey guys, I needed to collect my paycheck for the pay-per-view, so I'm just going to stand here.
What's up, guys? I'm Randy Orton.
Yeah. Did he even give him the beach ball pose?
No, we didn't even get the.
He didn't even give him. I'm holding a giant beach ball.
Nope.
And then here's one more thing, real quick. While I understand and was good on the way the AJ Joe match ended in DQ, I was not okay with the way the tag title match ended in DQ because of the fucking hammers.
That was lame.
One of the Bludgeon Brothers, I think, pulled something in their arm. I heard.
Yeah,
Rowan.
Was it Rowan? That's too bad. I mean, maybe it'll free up because I thought it was time.
Well, they're doing their tag title match tonight. I think the rematch.
Yeah,
maybe they'll take it off. Of course. Why do we do the title change on the pay-per-view? See, this is the way wrestling business has changed. People pay a monthly fee now for the pay-per-views, so they feel like the pay-per-views aren't as important because they're part of a full parcel, and that parcel is a streaming service. They want the ratings, so they're going to do the title changes on air rather than on pay-per-view to get the ratings, to get the money for, like, this is how they got Fox to sign that big money deal for SmackDown, is by putting the title matches and the title changes on free TV literally the day or two after a pay-per-view. And they've been doing it for a couple of years now. It's kind of frustrating. I would have liked to see the New Day win at SummerSlam. It just would have been a nice moment.
It would have been a nice.
You know, there were a couple nice moments, but it's like, to me, SummerSlam is like the match made in heaven, the match made in hell. There's stakes. There's things that happen in moments that you remember, and for people to go, "Oh, this was the best SummerSlam ever," and they're like, "No, it's not even like it's good. It was a good pay-per-view, but let's not get ahead of ourselves." There were issues, unfortunately, and I'm trying to find the full card. Here it is. I don't think we missed. Oh, Braun beat Kevin Owens in 1 minute and 50 seconds, and nobody cared.
It was a completely unnecessary match.
It was a misdirection because you were supposed to go, hey, wait a minute. Braun only wrestled for 2 minutes. They want to keep him fresh for the end of the show. And then they trot him out there, and he does his little speech so that people don't leave, because people were going to leave.
Yeah.
Once Reigns and Brock came up, people were getting ready to leave. And they brought Braun out to make people think. And this is some old carny wrestling bait and switch. I'm not mad at it in terms of they did it, and it's actually kind of like brilliant that they found right. But it was like using algebra to solve 2 + 2.
Yeah,
you don't need it. Like they did all these extra steps.
Thomas Jefferson, sucker.
Right, you get all the way. You loop. They do all this big, complicated stuff, and they loop all the way around. Thomas Jefferson sucker. It's
they started juggling chainsaws when they could have just done hacky sacks.
Yeah, because Roman, and again, we were going to beat this to death for the next 10 years of our lives. Yeah. Because this is now our future. There was no let's just let Roman Reigns win and we'll get it over with, because the getting it over with now entails his title reign, which has already sucked in Braun Strowman, which has already sucked in the Shield, which has already sent Finn Balor back down to the mid card.
Yep.
It's like in one night they went from having 4 or 5. They had 5 main event level baby faces. Well, except for, I'll call it Roman Reigns there. Roman Reigns, Ambrose, Rollins, Finn, and Braun, and they threw that all away to bring the Shield back as a group, so that the heat from Ambrose and Rollins is dead, and that's transferred to Reigns. Finn gets his rematch finally, and then just loses and rolls out of the ring. Like, he catches a spear, gets pinned. He rolls out of the ring so Braun can do his thing, and then they make Braun look like an ass with getting surrounded by the Shield.
They're going to try to portray Braun as the heel.
Braun Strowman.
Braun didn't do anything as a heel. He came out as a man,
right? And he beat the Bar.
Yeah.
He beat the Bar with a little kid as his tag team partner. You're telling me he can't beat up the Shield? I just don't understand the levels. Like, it's like Dragon Ball Z. Everybody's power level is fucking all over the place right now. There used to be a hierarchy of like, this guy could beat this guy and this guy's, and now it's just like the whole thing is not.
Judging from someone who watched every episode, yeah, it got a little messy.
Right. It was like Brock Lesnar was unbeatable, but like Roman Reigns could beat him. But then there's like a trump for Roman Reigns, but then there's a trump for this guy. Like there's somebody there who can can exploit a weakness of another guy, and it's just all of this stuff that could have been very subtle and creative and told a story. And I'm not even mad about Reigns winning the title because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to keep it on Brock Lesnar? But they had chances to pull the trigger on Braun. They had a chance to do. Finn Balor pulls out a surprise win against Roman Reigns. Braun comes out and cashes in on Finn and beats Finn, and now we've got Roman, who is guaranteed a rematch, and Finn, who's guaranteed a rematch. Going into another pay-per-view, you could have a three-way, or you could have Finn and Roman battle it out to determine who's going to face him. I don't know. There was just ways to get everybody involved in the story. And now the story is Roman Reigns is the champion, and everybody else stinks.
Yeah.
Finn Balor is never going to get there to that level again. That's the last title match Finn Balor is going to have.
They basically did that too because they're basically admitting that Roman can't get over by himself.
Yeah, and you know, I understand that, you know, guys need managers, or guys are better in a tag team or better in a stable. I would feel better about it if I didn't feel so cheated, I guess is the phrase. I feel kind of cheated because, and I understand subverting expectations is a good thing in wrestling. Sometimes you can't just do what the crowd wants. You got to tease them a little bit, but it's all so transparent. It's just it gives me just a bad feeling because they are admitting, you're right, Eric, they're going, we know Roman Reigns can't get over by himself. So we're going to take a bunch of people and try and elevate Roman by surrounding him with people that are over. But all that's going to do is now we've got our second Shield reunion. This is the third time they've been together. It's diminishing returns on the Shield reunion. It's diminishing returns on your two hottest baby faces, Rollins and Ambrose. You gave Finn his chance, and he looked great, but he's never going to have a world title match again, at least not for while Roman has it. So it's just frustrating because you see the handwriting on the wall. And unless the story changes over the next couple pay-per-views, the story is Roman Reigns is the champion. Roman Reigns is the big dog. It's his yard. And you're just going to have to – he's going to main event every pay-per-view, and he's going to win. And you're going to like it. You're just whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. So it's almost like spousal abuse.
Yeah.
And there are some people online who have been – it's like it's Stockholm Syndrome and it's spousal abuse. They've been abused so long by the WWE that now that the title change happened, they're so happy that a title change happened that they're just, oh, well, everything is good now. And it's like, no, you got to
Really?
have some, you've got to look deeper into it. They're like, oh, well, you're a smart mark. Well, first of all, you're on Twitter or you're on Reddit and you're posting your opinion about wrestling. Sorry, you're just as bad as...
On Amanda's status about Roman Reigns.
Oh, yes, like the people who were offended about the Roman Reigns and the SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
That's the kind of people we're dealing with.
The only thing I could take solace in is that I'm glad that it's not the WWE title and it's only the Universal title, which I frankly don't give a shit about.
Yeah, but this is like when they did that thing where
it is Raw, it is Monday Night Raw, and he's going to be on in the main events all the time.
Whenever Triple H or Cena got the World Heavyweight Championship and then they moved it to Raw, the World Heavyweight Championship became the most important title, and the WWE title got pushed to the back.
To them, maybe, not to me.
They handed it to him by Eric Bischoff.
But this is what I'm saying. The booking has been when they feel like it, they just change it, and all of a sudden the Universal title is prestigious. Which I almost spat out my drink, Eric. I was with you when Michael Cole said that.
Week, before the pay-per-view, Kurt Angle was saying Brock Lesnar was the worst WWE.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Of all time. 2 years.
They made Brock look bad. They talked all this shit about Brock that's not... If Brock Lesnar gave an F5 to Roman Reigns' mother, and they talked about how bad of a guy he was for doing that. Yes. But you can't say, oh, Brock Lesnar's a bad guy because he doesn't defend his title. It's a fictional story that you're writing. You're choosing to not have him defend the title because you signed a contract with him that had certain terms. So don't spin this like he's just not showing up. You're not booking him. You're not paying him. It's cognitive dissonance because I'm trying to take the real life stuff and mesh it with the stuff that's on TV, and they don't. It's like jazz and polka playing at the same time. It's just not.
It's not syncing.
Right. It's incongruent.
Roman Reigns cutting a promo against Brock doing that would slight Brock's throat for that contract.
Yeah. All right. So we should wrap up because
we still didn't even get to cover Raw. I mean, that's how much shit went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, here's the thing. Shield's music hit, and I was like, oh man, it's the Shield. And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, no. Like, it went immediately from excited to not excited.
So bittersweet because you just wanted to see Braun leave with the title.
And I also would. It would be okay if they ended it with definitively the Shield are now bad guys.
Yeah.
That would have been fine because it's a direction that they're going in. Now is Braun the bad guy? And I understand the Shades of Grey thing and the Vince Russo booking and all that, but it's like...
But they're mistaken if they think Braun is going to get booed at all.
They are insane.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Charlotte. All right, so Steve, you were kind of quiet while I ranted there. So I want to give you an opportunity to speak on the whole Roman Reigns Shield thing before we wrap up.
It's very bittersweet because on one hand, I always like to see the Shield together, but on the other hand, I really wanted to see Braun cash in and leave as champ, and that's twice now that I really thought it was going to happen and twice that it didn't. So it's kind of bittersweet. Listen, I'm always a fan of the Shield. We got to see where it goes. We got to see where it goes. Listen, at the end of the day, Braun is going to be the next champion.
Yeah, we have to be. We do have to be patient with it. I wish. My whole issue with it is that the story's already revolved around Roman Reigns for the last 4 years. Why does more of the story need to revolve around him? Even if he's doing other stuff with the Shield, what benefit to the Shield is it to be champions? You're already together. You're the three most over guys in the company, and you're three on power level, you're the three best wrestlers or whatever. Does the belt really matter?
And Ambrose is the odd man out because he doesn't have a championship.
And I hope that means that he is the ultimate eventual heel turn, and he somehow listen. If this gets us the Shield triple threat at WrestleMania, I'll be okay with it. A little more okay with it. There was something about it where when the Shield came out, I was happy they were together. But yeah, it was bittersweet because it was like, well, now what are they going to do? Like, it just didn't make sense that the Shield would come out at that point. They didn't talk. Yeah. Like, at least Rollins and Ambrose, it seems like they did something and they planned something, and Ambrose made his big comeback to help him against Dolph. There was not even a scene where Reigns talked to Ambrose or Rollins in those 2 days. At least make them say hi to each other. I don't know. It just
a head nod or something.
something. So it's not like it just seemed like it happened out of the blue, which it just kind of seemed like those two guys were like, "Hey, you want to put these vests on and go do it?" But we shall see.
All right.
It's a process. So we could sit here and talk for another couple hours, but then Steve would get a divorce, and I just feel like that's not the route he wants to take in his life.
Yeah, that, and I'm starving. I gotta go.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm very hungry too. So we'll wrap this up. I don't know what I'm gonna make though. I'm very hungry. Oh, I should mention, if you're hungry, you should look up the Binging with Babish YouTube channel. I mean, it's got 3 million subscribers. If you're not subscribed, you're one of the few. Binging with Babish hit 3 million subscribers. I entered a cooking contest. I didn't win, but I was a runner-up. And a channel that has 3 million subscribers played part of my YouTube video on their channel. So I'm getting like messages and comments from people who I don't even know. One of my friends from England, who I didn't even tell him that I didn't put screenshots. I haven't shared anything on social media about it yet. And I got a DM from him on Instagram. He's like, I was just watching that, on my TV, and I was like, oh shit. I'm like, oh, so people are seeing it.
Telling me you're like a rhinestone cowboy.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Cards and letters from people you don't even know.
Absolutely, I am. Now my intent is to become Guy Fieri, and I can put the rhinestones in my bleach blonde hair, and that will be my
sunglasses on the back of your neck.
Yeah, that's so good you can eat it off a flip-flop. Yeah, so anyway, check out Binging with Babish. Check out my YouTube channel, at @OSnapVince. You can see the contest entry. And then he said some nice things about my beard, which I always appreciate. But aside from all of that, go to tagmedate.com. It is the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of pro wrestling. It's free to sign up, free to register, free to send messages, free to post your updates. There's no paywall. It's not like you have to buy credits. Any of that stuff. You upload a picture, you can upload a promo video, you can chat just like you chat on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. You can send GIFs and emojis and all that other shit. You can search by location. That's a big one because you want to find somebody in the area that you're in, so we can do location searching. It is open internationally, all over the place. We've got an iPhone app and an Android app forthcoming. I've been playing around with the iPhone app. It looks good. And, you just got to, there were bugs, a few housekeeping things, and it looks good. So forthcoming will be the app you can download in the iTunes store when that comes up. But for right now, you just go to tagmedate.com. It is mobile friendly. So when you access it on your mobile device, everything scales down nicely for your phone. You're not scrolling around like it's a big, bulky website on your phone. And we do the show here on the Tag Me a Date channel. So youtube.com, search for Tag Me a Date, Tag Me a Date, all one word, no spaces. That is also our social media handle for Twitter and Instagram, Tag Me a Date. It's all one word. And you can go to the YouTube channel, the Tag Me a Date YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit the bell for alerts when we upload a video or go live. And follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Tag Me a Date, where you can ask questions, hashtag AskTheWarReport. We didn't get to the mailbag this week because there was so much stuff to do. So we will get to the mailbag when we can. If you submitted a question, we will read it, and you will be entered in our WrestleRumble.com pay-per-view Pick Em Contest. So a question of the month gets a free pay-per-view Pick Em. We will get to those, so either you can ask the War Report at gmail.com or use hashtag AskTheWarReport and tag Me a Date on social media, and we'll read your question, and you'll be submitted into the contest. And I think that's everything. So we'll be back next Tuesday right here on the YouTube channel, Tag Me a Date YouTube channel, and 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. We'll do it all again next Tuesday. Anything else, Steve?
I'll be talking about this Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I know. We'll be talking about it's the Roman Reigns show, Roman and Poochie, for you Simpsons
We'll see you all next week.
Yes, see you next week.